the two Styx Lionesses, and they're in exactly the same place. I'm just going to quickly tell you that we have found the carcass of that dog. It has not been eaten. We'll just quickly give you a view. I'm just going to show you where it is. Don't worry, there's nothing gory about it. It's just, you'll just see a sort of discolored piece of the grass there. There it is. Now, if you have just joined us, or perhaps you weren't watching yesterday, these lionesses snuck up on the Investec pack of dogs. They were around here yesterday with Brent. They were having a wonderful sighting. And this is what happens with lions. They often do this with wild dogs. They snuck up, and the rest of the pack got away. But one of them got pinned behind the bushes over there, and was unfortunately caught by one of these lionesses, and she killed it almost immediately. So that was a very difficult thing to see, and it resulted in a whole lot of mixed emotions for lions in general. And of course, lions just do what lions do. They wouldn't be the most dominant predator of Africa if they didn't behave the way that they do behave. Now, that lioness there that you're looking at, I think, is heavily pregnant. Aqua, I'm sorry, I'm just struggling to understand your question. I'm going to ask for it again. Sounds like a good one. Aqua, you're asking if a wild dog from an unrelated pack found the carcass of that wild dog, would it attack it? Is that correct, Kirsten? Aqua, I think they'd react, certainly. They don't like each other when they come across strange packs. The interaction can often be quite violent, and I don't think they'd do anything with that dead dog, though. I think they'd be probably much more worried because they'd smell lion around here, and I think they'd leave it alone. I'm quite interested that they didn't eat it. And it's not unusual for lions to eat other predators. It's not unusual for all predators to eat other predators out here. But they haven't eaten that dog, and they've just left it there. And isn't it, it seems like such a waste, doesn't it? But in terms of the ecosystem out here, of course it isn't. That's how it functions, that's how it has functioned, and that is how the dynamic equilibrium, which is, I think, a better way of terming balance, if you like, that's how the dynamic equilibrium of this place has been maintained for millennia. Lions have been the dominant predator. They've kept everything else in check. I don't think these are the same two that were found here earlier today, because they mentioned only one, and I wonder if the other lioness isn't somewhere perhaps feeding cubs. I don't know. I mean, this one looks like she's lactating, so I don't know where the little ones might be. They could be close by in the bushes. But as well as being very fat and perhaps pregnant, they've definitely eaten something. And again, I'm just every time I see these Styx Lionesses, I'm struck by how different they are from the Nkuhumas. You would never confuse them. If you saw that Styx Lioness next to one of our Nkuhuma Lionesses, you'd recognize immediately that she just wasn't from the pride. So interesting how individual they look when you spend this amount of time around them. You know, if you drive through Kruger and you see a lioness, well, you know, one lioness tends to blend into the next because they look relatively similar. But because of the amount of time we spend around these cats, it becomes relatively easy to see the differences. And of course, because lionesses in a pride are normally very closely related, you'll find that they look very similar. And these two do look similar. And the Nkuhuma lionesses look pretty similar. There's one who's got a slightly longer face than the others, and one who's got slightly narrower eyes than the others. But they do look similar, and they look very different from these two, I think. And I'm not normally actually very good at recognizing these sorts of things. But on these lions, there is definitely a difference. Heat of the day, they are probably what will eat that wild dog. Lauren, I don't think so. I think they're from one litter. You say, do the Styx Lionesses have one cub each? No. I think that lioness that we're looking at now is the mother of both of them. And interestingly, she seems to have only had 2 cubs, which is a small number for a lioness. Unless she lost one very early on. We've only ever known this litter with 2 little cubs. The other easily recognizable thing about these lionesses, of course, is the one that, not that one, the other one has got a skinny pom-pom. She doesn't have a fully fledged pom-pom on the end of her tail. I think she's probably lost it, actually. It looks like it was kind of gone in a fight. But it still looks like a cub's tail. Inga, you say the Styx Lionesses look beefy. Are they stocky? They're definitely, I would agree with you, Inga. I would say they're stockier than the Nkuhumas. Perhaps slightly shorter, but definitely stockier. The Nkuhumas are really, I mean, I've sort of used this analogy before, but the Nkuhumas are elegant almost, taller, and more, I mean, I hesitate to use this term, given that there is some aspersions being cast about how I feel about lions. But the Nkuhumas are kind of the uptown lions, if you like, and these guys are the kind of what would we say? Let's say they're, I don't want to use the term wrong side of the tracks, but they're, I don't know, they don't have the same sort of executive vibe about them, I don't find. They're scrappier. They've had a harder life. They've had a tougher time of it. And so that's made them kind of tough and streetwise. Doesn't that look streetwise to you, Vim? Sleeping in the road. Sleeping in the road. She knows about streets. Right, we're going to sit here for a little longer, see if the others come out of here. Steph has got a predator. Alrighty, we're going to leave these lionesses, I think, or maybe let's sit with them another 5 minutes. We've come around the other side. I just did a little loop around, see if I could find the other one and perhaps the cubs, but I haven't seen anything further. So let's sit here for 5 minutes, and if you've got any questions or you want to discuss perhaps a little bit more about the traumatic events of yesterday afternoon, well, then we can do that. But then we're going to press on and see what else we can find. We'll probably pop around to Arathusa waterhole, see what's going on there. I don't believe there's any water there, so that's quite interesting, even after the rain we've had. It just goes to show how bad the drought was last year. But then I think we'll press on and see what else we can find. There is heat starting to build now, which is 8 o'clock in the morning, I suppose, which is when the heat starts to build, and the vultures have taken off. VM, can you see those ones up there? Shall I back up a bit? Kim, you say lions move a lot when they sleep, or they're dreaming of the hunt. I don't know if they dream. I mean, you know, we know dogs dream, obviously, and perhaps lions dream of the hunt. I imagine there must be an element of that. Kim, there are 2 main reasons I think that lions move when they sleep. One is flies. I think flies irritate them a huge amount, so they flick their tails and flick their ears. The other is security. Although they are the dominant predator out here, and although they sleep more soundly than any other predator, they still have to keep looking up. Any strange noise that they don't recognize, they will lift their heads. They wake up very quickly. And that's what's going on when you see them moving. Kim, although you say they move a lot, I think they move far less than any other predators out here. It's just because they've got much less to worry about. Alrighty, I think we're going to move on from here and go and see what else we can find, if that's all right with you. We can still discuss anything you'd like to about them, but they ain't going nowhere. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to find the little cubs somewhere around here, perhaps. They've been taken off to the waterhole, except the waterhole doesn't have any water in it. And there are two very nice little puddles here that they can drink from.